And so I'm very pleased to introduce today Dr. Tomisha Brock and Dr. Nikole Roebuck. Whatnot. And I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for coming out today and speaking with me about this topic. So let me start with a different question now. Um, what is the history of women and marching bands? Was it always so? I know Louisiana has a specific kind of culture, especially coming out of New Orleans. But what about other places in North Carolina and whatnot?
Definitely, it's still a very new thing. There was a time, especially in our higher education programs, where women were not allowed in the band program, were not allowed in the marching band setting, let alone lead the marching band. Since then, of course, programs have integrated a little bit better, and you're starting to see not only females to serve in the band as more than just the auxiliary members, but now you're starting to see females play the non-traditional instruments, tuba and percussion and things like that. So much like what happened in Louisiana, across the country, women were not originally a large part of marching bands.
And I was reading, Dr. Roebuck, that there's about 10% of band directors in the country, that's total, that are women, and I'm assuming that's collegiate and high school. So, can you talk about your trajectory? We'll go with Dr. Roebuck first, and then Dr. Brock, about your trajectory that brought you through your education to working with bands and ensembles.
Well, my journey actually started on the campus of the university, as a little girl with my Uncle Joe, who was assistant director of bands in the 80s under Conrad Hutchinson Jr. From 1980 to 1989. So that little girl actually fell in love with music at an early age. And I had no idea that one day the very band that I fell in love with as a young girl and that I marched in, that I would one day lead. So, here I am, and I say all the time, God has allowed me to live my dreams out loud. So
Mm-hmm.
I take it as a privilege and an honor. And I know without a doubt that I have been placed in this role and that I'm in this role to have impact and obviously to shed light on um, where we are in the world to show that a leader is a leader, whether you're male or female. And that's how I look at it.
And what about you, Dr. Brock? What brought you to the position you're at now?
Indeed, much like Dr. Roebuck, just the exposure to music and music education, growing up with a family of educators, music educators, college band directors, high school band directors. I have a cousin who's now serving as a director of bands at Bethune-Cookman University. And just watching those educators growing up as an inspiration, I started playing clarinet because of my late cousin. She was a clarinet player, minister of music at our church, and a band director. And I wanted to be just like her. So
Mm-hmm.
just following that, I knew that I would either have a career or a goal to go into medicine or music, and I chose music. And I'm so thankful that I am a music educator and in higher ed, just being able to train future music educators and let women know that this is possible for us, and being able to see someone that looks like them leading a college program.
Well, I believe we stand on the shoulders of our predecessors and our ancestors. And do you have any particular mentors, either of you, that you would uh, think as being really instrumental in getting you to where you are today?
I would say for me, definitely my undergraduate college band director, Professor Harold Houghton. If it was not for him, he was more than just an educator. He actually served as a stand-in father figure for me when I went to college. He is one of my greatest mentors, and to this day, every position I've had, even down to when I decided to marry someone, another musician, he definitely gave a lot of advice. Even in hard times, sometimes you'll trip and fall, and just how to recover from those mistakes or recover from those shortfalls. He's always been there as a mentor. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say Professor Harold Houghton has been my greatest mentor, in addition to my late cousin, Irma Price.
So not only family, but educators and some of your instructors. So what about you, Dr. Roebuck?
Well, I'll say once again, my uncle was a great mentor for
Mm-hmm.
me because I got a chance to watch him in action every weekend. And it was for me, he was like a musical giant. And just to see him direct the band and to just to hear the band, as a little girl, to hear that sound, it was just so amazing. And I just knew without a doubt, like this is what I want to do, because
Mm-hmm.
it was just, I mean, it's describable as a little girl to hear the band play. So he would be my in terms of music, my first, I would say, first mentor. And then
Mm-hmm.
secondly, I had a piano teacher. I started taking piano lessons very young, actually, in fourth grade. And I'll have to say, Miss Patricia Britton Hall. She wasn't a band director, but she was very um, oh my goodness, very articulate. She was very precise in everything that she did. She was the minister of music at our church. So I just learned a lot from her in terms of just structure, as far as overall presentation.
Mm-hmm.
How you present yourself, because that makes a big difference as well. So music is a huge part of it, but just the package of presentation. And so I would have to say she was my second mentor. So my uncle, and then Miss Patricia Britton Hall, and my middle school band director, Earl Smith. I was crazy about Mr. Smith. He marched in the band at Grambling,
Uh-huh.
and he was very stern. He was a disciplinarian, and he was, yeah, he was, as they say, he was my guy. So I would have to say Earl Smith, and yeah.
I'm smiling because I think we come from that. Well, I'm older than you ladies, but we come from that generation where, if the professor just went like this, you stopped dead in your
Yeah.
tracks. You didn't breathe until they told you to. And as I was saying earlier in our conversation, that I went to PWIs. And
Mhm.
so there's a whole segment of culture and stuff that I missed growing up. Even though in the church, it was mostly choral music, right? And my dad was a singer, my grandmother was a singer. And I believe that musicianship runs in the genes, like the griots, from West Africa. There's that thing that's imprinted into us. But I had the opportunity, I was down at Southern University, down by you, Dr. Roebuck, for 2 years. And I was just so enthralled when I would see the band. And I'd be leaving my office, say like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night or something, and I could hear them practicing over in the football stadium and when they marched across the campus. So that's something that I missed. But I'm curious, when we talk about the history of women in bands, I ran across something. I found the name of Rhonda L. Harper. Are you familiar with her? Can you talk about her a little bit?
For a long time, she served as the director of bands at Lincoln University in Missouri, and was one of the only female band directors active in the nation at the time. So definitely a trailblazer with music education, with strengthening the program, recruiting and growing the program. She has since retired. Once she left Lincoln University, she served as interim at Clark Atlanta University for a year. And of course, she has a wealth of public school experience as well. But if it
Mm-hmm.
was not for Rhonda Harper being a mainstay, there were other women directors before her in various conferences, but she was the mainstay that had stayed the longest. After her, it was Robin Reeves at North Carolina Central University for a while, before myself and Dr. Roebuck and Dr. Carrie Ann Simon and Aphasia Cousins and Dr. Juliet Boykins came on board as head directors. And then
Mm-hmm.
there are a few out there like Stephanie Sanders, who has been an associate director at Norfolk for a long time, over 20 years, and of course, an unsung hero in her own right.
Well, I think there's a dissertation for some young person out there to write, or some books, because it's a really interesting history and I think it's one that needs to be told. So I want to ask you about some of the extras that you have to do. I'm watching your videos and you're on the field and you're conducting, um, and then you're giving instructions about how to step and all of this. That's a lot of management that you have to do. How, now we're talking difference in scale. I believe, Dr. Brock, your school is about 1,200, and and Dr. Roebuck, your school's over 5,000, so we have a difference in scale. But in terms of the staff management and overall the oversight that you have to do, what's your typical day like when you're doing that kind of preparation? Dr. Brock.
Oh, with me. Typical day for me, because I also teach, it starts at 10 a.m. and in the fall semester it doesn't end until about 8 or 9 p.m. just because of scheduling. I do have breaks throughout the day, but managing, I'm also now the music program coordinator. So managing administrative tasks, writing drill, managing rehearsals, managing students on the field, and managing a staff that, only one member on my staff is also a full-time professor here. Everyone else has a full-time job before they come here. So it's just a lot of time management. Communication is key, both for my staff members and for my students. And then understanding that at the end of the day, while we are building relationships and we're building community, it is also still a business. So having to often have sometimes those difficult conversations, with staff and with students, when things are not going as planned or expected, and how to course correct, how to guide, and how to mentor at the same time. So I find myself not only mentoring my students, but also mentoring some of my staff, especially those who are a little less experienced than others on my staff, just guiding them along the way, allowing
Mm-hmm.
them to be themselves, but also, giving them the support they need so that they can be successful here and if they decide to go elsewhere later.
I remember saying to my chair, I don't envy your position at all. That's a lot of work. So, Dr. Roebuck, I know you have a bigger unit that you have to manage, and I saw the video from the Super Bowl, and I was just wondering, what does it take to move that many people, and the uniforms and the instruments, and how do you keep the kids in line?
So I get asked that question quite often, and um, so being in the position that I'm in, serving in a dual capacity as department chair and director of bands, um, sometimes I wish my day-to-day activity was the same, but no day is the same. Every day is different for me. You try to keep it as close to the same as possible, but there are different things throughout each day that can be quite different. But just to manage that, the oversight of it, I will say this: I was blessed, very blessed, to inherit a well structured um, system. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks to Comrade Hutchinson Jr. I say that all the time, and the directors before me, and by
Mm-hmm.
coming through the program, that helped a lot because I was a student leader in the program, and then I worked my way up to becoming a student director. So as undergrad, I learned both sides of the spectrum, how to be a student leader, and then my last year in the program working as a student assistant, working directly with the band staff, being able to direct the band. I learned both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So now being in this position, it boils to like Dr. Brock said, communication is key. I mean, you cannot let a day go by where you have not aligned with your staff properly, and if it's something that you need to strategize on, what's the resolve? If there's an issue, how do you resolve it quickly? So just to make sure that everybody understands what their role is.
Mm-hmm.
That's key. Understanding what the role is, and everybody has a designated job. Somebody is responsible for making sure instruments are checked out, checked in, uniforms checked out, checked in. So as long as the system is flowing, and it's a well-oiled machine, and if you come down or somebody visits, they say, "Wow, I had no clue that it takes that much to move." Marching band, and it does, but it's a system, and it works, and it's a good system.
Well, I'm just amazed that if you had to put me on the field, first of all, to play an instrument, that's the first thing, with the music memorized and to memorize the steps, I don't think I could do that. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for the organization, the choreography and stuff. So how often do you rehearse, Dr. Brock? How many hours a week during you start in the summer before the semester starts, if I recall?
Yeah, so we typically have a 2 week, sometimes a 3 week preseason camp. Because I just took over this program about a year and a half ago, we did a 3 week camp so that we could really reshape and transform the program in a short period of time. But typically, when the school year starts, we have a 2 hour rehearsal period per day. I'm of the school, I'm not about to be out here all night. I have children as well. So I make sure that we plan a lesson plan and that we try to stick to the plan. Again,
Mhm.
communication. I communicate to the students before rehearsal what we're expected to work on that day, the music we're going to cover, the drill design, the sets we're going to cover that day. So they already come in with the materials they need to try to maximize the rehearsal time. But typically 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and this is Monday through Friday. And then, of course, each section is expected to have at least one mandatory sectional per week. That's at least an hour so that they can practice outside of rehearsal. And we're stressing now the mentality or the philosophy that rehearsal is rehearsal and meant to refine things, and that practice is done outside of rehearsal in an effort to be more efficient. And with just transforming the culture, some of the culture in HBCU bands has been 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. practices. I think the latest I've been out this year because of that has been homecoming, but that was to be expected because alumni came back. But we gave our students a 3 week notice that we would be out later that week, so it was not the norm. And we're really stressing time management, but
It would also affect their scholarly work as well. So
absolutely, absolutely,
yeah.
and we're definitely about the we use the terminology student musicians here and not band members, so they know that they're students and scholars first, and we're
Mhm.
pushing that, we're promoting that, and we have the goal that hey, this organization is going to have the highest collective GPA on campus, so they're in competition with themselves, but they're also in competition with our football team to show that hey, we do this as much as you do, but we're going to have a higher GPA than you at the end of the day. And it's been highly effective. But yeah, 5 days a week, usually 6 to 8 right now. We're working to change that to get it earlier in the day. And then
Mhm.
of course sectionals 1 day a week. And then those demands on Saturdays, we're usually here 4 hours before game time, and then we're gone about 2 hours after the game has ended.
And during the spring semester, the schedule isn't as heavy, is it?
It's not as heavy. Unfortunately, basketball season is that overlap, so it goes from November to February.
Mhm.
CIAA tournament is one of the biggest in the country, and we're required to go. So, basketball season for us just ended 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we go well into March, but we try to minimize instead of 5 days a week with like athletic band, we'll do
Mhm.
2 days a week with athletic band, so we can yield to our symphonic band um, and more about other ensembles, chamber ensembles during the spring semester.
And that's quite a commitment from the students that they know what they're getting into when they sign up for
It is,
band.
especially with our program still growing and being smaller than some. We
Mhm.
share students across all of our programs. So we may have a student that plays in 4 ensembles, but of course, the goal as we expand is to be able to lessen that strain for all of our students.
Now, I read that when you joined the program, the number of your students expanded to almost 100.
Yes. So when I inherited this program, it had just grown up to 41 members. And then within a year, we got it up to 96. So we have 96 in the program this year. But even growing music majors, when I got here, there were 3 music majors, one instrumental, two vocal. We have 17 majors now and 10 minors. So just working very aggressively and very strategically to just transform the culture, the mindset, and enhance the program.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Dr. Roebuck, you have a much bigger machine that you work with. So let's hear about your program.
So our motto is recruit, retain, graduate. That's our motto. Always on time, in the right frame of mind, with the right equipment, ready to go to work. So they come in and we train them that way. We get them to understand that philosophy. Everybody has to buy in, and that's what makes the program operate. That's what makes us effective. And I tell the students all the time, you are not coming to school to major in marching band. You are coming to school to major in either, even if you're a music major, you're coming to major in music, biology, criminal justice, or whatever your major course of study is. But you are not coming to school to major in marching band. And my most proudest accomplishment, and I stress this to my students. Yes, Saturdays are good for me. We have a successful show. That's great. I'm excited. But at the end of 4 years, when they put on that cap and gown, that is the moment for me. I make it a point. So I have a wall in my office. I call it the world fame wall. And they literally, when they get ready to graduate, they come, "Hey, Doc, I got my picture." And they place their picture on the wall. And I make sure I go down, whether it's fall graduation, spring graduation, and I take a picture. They're in their cap and gown. I'm in my cap and gown because I watched you grow. And in college, you have those highs and lows. And so my focus is I'm trying to get you to the finish line. Yes, I want you to be successful every Saturday, but I want to make sure that when I come and recruit you, that your mom and dad, they're happy at the end of 4 years, that Dr. Roebuck and the staff, they took care of my child. So people say it all the time, it's music, but for me, and I think I can speak for Dr. Brock too, it's more than music for us. This is about impacting the lives of the students that we have each year. And just to watch a child, you take them as a freshman and you watch, oh, that right there, to pour into them, that means a lot. It's we say some things in life you cannot buy, and that's one of them.
And one thing I've always said, not everybody can play football or be on a sports team. But generally, even if you can just tap out a rhythm, you can be in some kind of music ensemble. And the same kind of discipline, the rehearsing, the practicing, the memorization, all helps you in what we call transferable skills. So if you're disciplined about, band and getting to rehearsal or choir rehearsal, in my respect, then generally you're disciplined about the other things as well because you understand the seriousness of it. So I wanted to ask you, how do we engage young people today to be involved in music programs? I mean, singing is one thing, it's portable. Everybody can sing at some point. But I think we're losing something where we're not having our instrumentalists developing into the careers that you may offer or expose them to along the way. So how can we kind of work that out so the kids are inspired to go into the arts?
I think, and this is something that we're getting ready to implement in our local school system, that's in the district near us, is being visible, showing the students what is possible outside of just performing and teaching, showing them that this career is multifaceted, that it can lead to many sectors of the music industry, and allow them to see themselves in their future. Allow them opportunities to regularly come to your campus, offer whether it's free lessons for your local school district or regular opportunities for them to come and perform or engage or audit your classes or sit in on a rehearsal. I think the more you get them involved and they can see themselves in that future, when you're giving recruitment, presentations, changing, trajectory to use their name, so that they can see it empowers them to see themselves. I'm a student at Johnson C. Smith University or at Grambling State University. And I think the more we're out there having those conversations and they see us outside of the ensemble setting, I think the more they're going to start to ask those questions and show an interest. We have a powerful tool through social media, and that social media following. So they're already following our band videos and our choir videos. So using that platform to say, hey, we're going to recruit, or hey, we're going to teach you what is like a day in the life of the IIOS or the World Fame. And this is what it takes to be here. You too could have a seat. This seat is yours. We're waiting on you. And I just think our creative marketing and reaching them using the tools and devices that they are actively engaging with now. These students, they are on a 10-second microwave generation. And if we can't attract them in the first 10 seconds.
No, wait, here it is.
Right. If they can't see it in a meme or a GIF or a TikTok, then we've already lost them. And getting to the parents, a lot of the times, I know we go out and recruit, and oftentimes we're recruiting students, but we have to recruit and talk to the decision makers, talk to the parents, and just talk to the heart of, hey, this is a great way to get to your career. Even if you decide not to major in music, let this be the vehicle or the pathway, to show you that there are other options. And even if you want to major in business, let me show you how music and business can work together. I think
Definitely.
having a conversation about stackable credentials and the fact that music is not on an isolated island by itself, but music is a part of every profession and everything that we do. I think if they see that connection and see that they can still carry their hobby and make a living off of it, I think that we can attract more people to our profession and into an interest in music and
Mhm.
higher ed.
Well, just this morning, I was reading an article about how NASA, before what's going on now, NASA hired musicians so they could read the sound waves. That involves physics as well.
Mhm.
But now I think people have the cognizance, especially I live in New York City, and there's something called the creative economy, right? That how the creative economy can drive fading economies in smaller urban areas and rural areas. And now they're starting to put the A for the arts into STEM. And what about you, Dr. Roebuck? I saw this wonderful video of the high school kids coming on campus and how excited they were about spending a day with your group.
Yeah, so we do have each year we do a day with the world fame, and it's coming up at March 29th. And they get a chance to experience what it feels like to be a member, just coming on campus and getting that experience, and getting a chance, a lot of them for the first time, to be on a college campus, or be on the campus of Grambling State University. And along with experiencing that, we've added to our curriculum commercial music with an emphasis in sound recording technology. A lot of students, I mean, we are music educators, and we love teaching, but like Dr. Brock said, music, we have different elements that we can add that the students would be attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
You still can come in and major in music, but you might want to pick up a concentration in sound recording as well. So just to add um, concentrations here and there where you could make uh, what I call, I always say, make sure you have multiple streams of income. I tell the students, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. You might teach during the day. You might want to make sure you go to the studio. Use all of your creative energy in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're trying to train our students to do now. And that attracts them, even with those that are majoring in visual and performing arts. And you might come to the music side and pick up a second concentration. You're in mass comm, you might pick up music as a minor. So just keeping them attracted to the arts in that way, and that's helping out.
I think that flexibility is so important because we have contributed so much to American culture, and we have to acknowledge that and also teach our young people that we initiated so many things. I mean, I remember listening to house music, and I was looking at a chart one day by Dr. Portia Maltsby. She's an ethnomusicologist, and she shows these lines from 1600, the origins of music. And on that trajectory was house music. I was like, what? I thought that came in Germany, from Germany. No, it did not. And so there's always something to learn. And I'm very excited about when I discover new things about women in marching bands. And I just wanted to ask you, where do you see yourself going, say in the next 5 or 6 years, in terms of music and what's happening in the music business? Let me back up and say, you were speaking about contemporary music. And I think it's really important that I tell my students, singing classical is like going to the bar in ballet. And if you know how to do that, you can do just about anything else, right? You learn how to read, you learn how to sight read, you learn how to sight sing and whatnot. And so playing the instruments gives you more colors and timbres that you can work with when you're putting what they call beats now. The kids call it beats. It's composing.
Mhm.
But where do you think music is going, and where do you think you're going in say 5 years or so?
Well, I think for myself, it's important. We think about music now and women in marching bands and marching band is such a huge focus right now. And I'll be the first to admit, I love what I do, but I always try to make sure I don't lose that student who is not focused on marching band.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have so many musicians when you go out to recruit, marching band is just not their focus. So we have to make sure that we're putting emphasis on our other ensembles, whether it's your wind ensemble, your symphonic band, your concert band, your jazz band. It could be your choir, your small ensembles. We have to make sure we don't lose those other student musicians. In between the recruitment of, because I use the term all the time, we're world famed and more. Because at Grambling, world fame, it's the largest ensemble. That's what people see all the time. But now we're in concert season. And a lot of people, when we go out and recruit, they say, oh, you have a symphony band, you have a concert band. And we do a presidential musical spectrum every year. And we have an orchestra.
That's coming up this week, right?
It's coming up in April.
In April.
And so I have to let the students know, yes, we do. Mm-hmm. And it's mandatory for my the students that are participating in marching band. You have to be in concert band in the spring because those are our building blocks.
And they're learning repertoire as well.
Yes. It's not optional. If you want to march in August, I'll see you in January. And then we have our symphonic band, our orchestra, our jazz band, and it is so important that we don't lose those other students. And I think if we focus on all of it, the arts, the music, like it does not die out. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure that, I'll use when we talked about mentors. I did have mentors in college. I didn't use everybody's name, and like Malcolm Spencer used to say all the time, and he was my collegiate band director. A good marching band is nothing but a glorified concert band on the inside, and so we have to make sure that we just don't lose that we just don't lose it, and we focus on what it means to have true musicians and make true music.
Well, I can say I listened to the videos of both of your colleges, and they play very well. I was like, okay, that's some good tone, especially when they're walking and doing their steps and things. I was like, my goodness, it's quite something. What about you, Dr. Brock?
Indeed, definitely. I think Dr. Roebuck was in my staff meeting this morning. we definitely stressed all of this as we're talking about the identity of our program and what do we want to be known for. So for us, I would say 1, 3, 5 years out, the goal for me is to transition eventually myself personally, just transition into more of an administrative and teaching role over the next couple of years and kind of get away from the field. So I have a few years left, but I would rather just cultivate the entire department and just have us grow. But the goal for us is to become a holistic and comprehensive program and the premier music program in the state of North Carolina. And that's regardless of PWI, HBCU. We want to be the hub for professional development. So over the next couple of years, I see us as being a hub for professional development symposiums for our music educators K-12 across the state of North Carolina and in the bordering areas of South Carolina and Tennessee. I also see us as restoring our music education and music business programs or some aspect of those programs. We offer music performance right now, but just look at redefining and enhancing what it means to be a music major at Johnson C. Smith or what it means to be a music candidate in the state of North Carolina. So seeing us transform that program, putting out resources, tangible resources for not only educators in this state, but other educators across the country on strengthening and revitalizing music programs in K-12 and the importance of the arts to developing the total person. So those are some of the things that I see going forward as the future of the program at Johnson C. Smith University, becoming a resource and research hub for advocating for the arts and arts education and advocating for the total, building the total musician or the total person and using the arts and the creative mindset to develop great citizens coming out of our program. So definitely strengthening the core of our music degree program, enhancing musicianship, guaranteeing that employability rate. My goal is we get you here, much like Dr. Roebuck, we recruit you, we retain you. But again, when we graduate you, we're excited to have you in the program, but we want to make sure that we can say that you're also employed. So it is our mission to make sure that all of our music educators have a job offer before they
Mm-hmm.
walk across the stage. So those are some of the things we're working on here and utilizing that to help tell our story going forward. So advocacy, becoming that premier hub for music education and professional development in our region.
While you were speaking, I was remembering the former president of where I did my master's, and he used the term artist citizen. That yes, we are artists. You know, a lot of times they want artists to be quiet, but that we're also engaged in our communities. And there's been a trend in recent years, as both of you have spoken about, making sure that students know what their options are. When I finished school back in, they just said, go with God. But they didn't say that. They said, here's your paper, bye, And so a lot of things I had to learn on my own, going to seminars, knowing about things like SCORE, which is business people that will work with you to develop your business. As a matter of fact, I'm doing that right now for my voice studio. And knowing how to write a press release. You don't have to write it now, but you need to be able to put it up online, and learning how to effectively use social media. I think that's a danger right now for our kids, because they just put anything up there and it can come back to bite you eventually. I want to back up just a little bit, because I'm interested where you get your compositions from. Over the summer, everybody was playing it. And I was like, did Kendrick Lamar's people send out the music, or people decide, was there some competition or something going on? How did that come about? Dr. Roebuck.
So, always I call my power team. I people see my face all the time as the face of the program, but one person definitely cannot do this job alone. And I cannot take full credit for moving the world fame, because it's every member of the power team to move the program. So we all put our creative juices together, and everybody has their style of music that they like.
Mm-hmm.
And I can hear something on the radio, and I know, that's a Dr. D song, or that's that's Mr. Neal, or that's Mr. Hendrix. Like, I know when we get to staff meeting, I know it's gonna be on their list.
Oh, it's like, oh, that's you, and this one is for you, and that one's for you.
No,
It goes like that.
I don't necessarily assign music. They just come with their list. They be like, hey Doc, I heard this song. What you think? And I'll be like, when I heard it on the radio, I knew that you were gonna, put the pen to the paper. That's what we say. And you were gonna write it you were gonna arrange it for the band. So when I heard Not Like Us, I knew that was Jonathan. I knew he was gonna put the pen to the paper, and he was gonna bring it to life for the marching band. So that's how it works.
It's so hilarious right now, because everybody is using that little segment from the Super Bowl, trying to do the crip walk. It's hilarious. What about you, Dr. Brock?
Well, I have always been, key to having someone on my staff that was attached to a radio station or a DJ background. So a lot of the times we'll look for the top 40, we'll look for the top 100. And then this year we took an approach to make sure that we try to stay relevant. So nothing that was more than 6 years old went into our repertoire. But what we will also start doing is, like, we will honor the past, but anything older than 6 years old, we'll only play 1 or 2 songs from that particular decade, to try to make sure we have variety, so that we can play for any audience that we step in front of, and this includes a variety of genres as well. But each year we pick songs based upon student input. So we talk to our football team. What would you like to hear? When you're getting ready for the game, what are some things you like to run out to? We polled the student body. We polled our faculty on campus, and we polled the alumni as well. And
Uh,
so that factored into a percentage of how we chose what we were going to program this year for the band. And then for our field shows, that came from my staff, and then the dance routines always went to the students. You pick the music, you write the music, you put it together, and then we'll analyze and vote on it. If it sounds good, we'll go with it.
when you say dance routines now, Southern they call them the dancing dolls, right? Is that the
No,
general
this is
term?
the whole band dance at the end. So not the
Oh,
dance,
when they're
yeah, when they're all at the end at the end of the show.
who does your formations? I mean, that to me is so fascinating.
Here, I do them at Johnson C. Smith, and then I've hired my staff. They do the arranging. I don't write. I do drill and education. So I have the rest of the staff do the music.
I mean, because that's really quite something to have them marching across the field and then they turn and then make diamonds and
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff. That's quite something. Now, I will say this, in my next life, I would like to be a dancing doll. And I want to know who does the choreography for those groups.
It's well, most of us have dance team coordinators and things like that, auxiliary coordinators. We have two coordinators here at Johnson C. Smith. Our dance team is Blue Satin, and our flag squad is the Untouchables.
Hmm. And Dr. Roebuck?
And at Grambling, we have the Orchesis Dance Company. So we have Miss Jamie Griffith and Willie Miller, who choreographs for the company.
And then you have flags. See, like I said, I missed all of that in high school and in college. So I'm just totally fascinated. And like the kids are just so sweet. I like to see them do their thing. And it's just amazing, like with your drum majors, how they can bend over backwards almost to the ground. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so amazing. So forgive me for my over exuberance, but I just find it just wonderful. And it's a wonderful expression of our culture and something that people imitate. I actually saw a reel of an Asian band. I don't know where they were. They were playing like, it sounded like Myanmar or someplace like that. But it sounded, with the cymbals and whatnot. But the drum majors were doing some of the moves that you see in African American marching bands. I was like, well, imitation is the highest form of flattery, so they say. Right? Now, is there anything else you'd like to add before we end our session today?
It's truly an honor for this opportunity, and then just to serve in a position like this. You mentioned earlier that women band directors make up just about 10% across the country. That number is even smaller in higher ed, and even smaller amongst African American women band directors, even smaller at our HBCUs. Right now, at one point in time, we had 5 of us, and right now, Dr. Roebuck and I are 2 out of the 3 that are currently still. The other is Dr. Juliet Wickens at Elizabeth City in North Carolina. And so while we're making gains, it's like, we're taking a step forward and we're constantly being knocked 3 steps back. So we're continuing to advocate for our profession, for our sisters in the profession. We have some wonderful African American women band directors at PWIs across the nation, and we're hoping to see that number increase at our HBCUs across the nation as well.
How about you, Dr. Roebuck? Any closing thoughts?
Well, first, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity for allowing us to share our story and shed some insight on what it means to be a female band director in higher education. And it's my prayer that we can continue to make the strides that are needed to continue to open doors where the females I know that are coming behind us will be able to have, and just in all transparency, a smooth path. In order to be able to do what it is that we love to do.
Well, I think both of you are examples of excellence, and that is what has always typified our work in the arts. You can't get by half-stepping, especially in a marching band, I would say. So I really want to thank Dr. Tomisha Brock of Johnson C. Smith University and Dr. Nikole Roebuck of Grambling State University. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, and I look forward to the next time, and good luck with all of your work.